You ever walk into your own workshop, your sanctuary, your pride and joy, and find a stranger's luxury SUV parked right in the middle of it, engine off, doors locked, and not a soul in sight? Yeah, that happened to me. At first, I honestly thought I was losing it. Like maybe I'd left the doors open. Maybe someone was in trouble. Maybe it was a prank. But nope. Right there on the windshield, written in loopy, smug handwriting on a neon pink sticky note, were the words, "Needed shade. Thanks." That was it. No name. No apology. No number to call. Just that. Like she was doing me a favor, borrowing my $300,000 workspace to park her Escalade out of the sun. I didn't yell. I didn't call the cops. I didn't even touch her car. I picked up my welder, sealed every damn door shut with 6 points of steel, and booked myself a vacation out of state. And oh yeah, I made sure the cameras were rolling. Let me back up for a sec. Name's Ray. I'm a mechanic. Been restoring vintage cars since I was old enough to hold a socket wrench. I run my shop out of a converted barn behind my house in Westfield Pines, this HOA-controlled little cul-de-sac where everyone waters their lawn at 7 a.m. sharp and smiles a little too wide when they wave. My shop's where I spend most of my time, not just working, but thinking, breathing, just being. Things were good, too. I just finished installing a brand new hydraulic lift. Had a backlog of orders stretching into the next year, and was finally ahead on bills. The only downside was the HOA, a bunch of clipboard-wielding retirees who thought lawn ornament placement was a matter of national security. But hey, I kept my place clean. Didn't paint my garage neon, and never parked on the grass, figured they'd leave me be. Then she moved in. I didn't catch her name right away. She never introduced herself like a normal neighbor. She introduced herself with a printed pamphlet titled Tanya's Guide to Neighborhood Excellence. Tanya, as it turned out, had appointed herself as the Parking and Aesthetic Standards Liaison, which wasn't a real role, she just made it up. Said she wanted to bring order to our visually chaotic block. I thought it was satire. It wasn't. Within a week, she filed her first complaint against me. Said my mailbox was visually aggressive. Then it was the color of my garage door. Then it was customer vehicles creating visual congestion. The board mostly ignored her. They found her annoying, not dangerous. But annoying turned to invasive real fast. One morning, I come out to find tire marks across my gravel path. Not just near it, on it. Tanya's Escalade is half parked in my entrance. When I asked her about it, she shouted from across her lawn. "Temporary parking, Ray. Just checking a delivery." I didn't make a scene. I left a note. Polite, firm, nothing dramatic. Please don't park in front of or inside the shop. Security cameras are active. That was it. Next morning, new tire tracks. This time, all the way up to my hydraulic lift. That's when I checked the cameras. Midnight footage showed Tanya stepping out of her SUV, walking up to the lens, and flipping it off. No confusion. No accident. Just pure entitlement. I brought it to the HOA board, sent the footage, filed a formal complaint, everything. Their response? "We'll look into it. Let's not escalate neighbor tensions." Classic. So I tried the cops. Officer Grant, decent guy, had shown up once when Tanya falsely reported excessive noise from a client's Mustang. Looked at the footage and said, "Well, looks like trespassing. But no damage, no break-in. It's a civil matter unless you want to file paperwork." Meanwhile, Tanya just kept at it. Sometimes she'd back her SUV halfway into the shop while I was welding. One time, I asked what she was doing, and she literally said, "Just checking for hazards, Ray. It's community safety." I laughed, but inside I was boiling. So I got creative. I reinforced the doors, moved the cameras, added alarms, put up signs. Nothing worked. She knew exactly how far she could push it. Civil nuisance, that was her playground. Until that Friday, I'd stepped out for a sandwich. Maybe 20 minutes. Came back, opened the gate, and froze. There it was, her Escalade. Parked dead center inside my workshop. Not in front. Not partially in. Inside. Between my workbench and a '67 Camaro I was rebuilding. No Tanya. No text. Just silence. I called her. Voicemail. I knocked. No answer. I sent a text. "Your vehicle is inside my private shop. This is trespassing. Move it, or I'm calling a tow." 3 hours later, she replied, "Oops. Was in a rush. Don't touch my vehicle." That was it. I didn't call a tow truck. I didn't yell. I grabbed my gloves, fired up my welder, and started sealing every exit. 6 welds. Thick. Clean. Reinforced brackets. Not going anywhere. Then, I left. Took a week off. Booked a flight to Colorado. Let Tanya sit with her Escalade, or rather, let her Escalade sit without her. The messages started before I landed. First, polite. Hey, I noticed the door seems stuck. Then frantic. This is illegal. You've imprisoned my car. I didn't reply. I forwarded everything to my cloud server, turned off notifications, and let it ride. Back home, my neighbor Frank kept me updated. Tanya paced in front of my shop like a panicked raccoon. She called the police, again. When they showed up and saw the footage of her entering my building and me sealing my doors, well, they shrugged. Sounds like a civil dispute, ma'am. You might want to call a locksmith. She did. The locksmith took one look at my welds and said, yeah, no, that's not a lock. That's Fort Knox. He left. Tanya screamed. She tried animal control, claimed she smelled chemicals inside. Nothing. Just good oil, grease, metal, and karma. The HOA caught wind by day 2. Mr. Sanderson, the board president, a man so conflict-averse he once postponed a vote because someone sneezed, left me a voicemail. Ray, there's been some concern. Maybe we could resolve this peacefully? I didn't reply. Instead, I posted one note on the community board. My private workshop is locked and monitored. Unauthorized vehicles will remain secured until removed by lawful means. That post? Most upvoted thing in the neighborhood's history. By day 4, Tanya brought in a news crew. Swear to God. Local channel rolled in with a reporter who tried really hard to make her look like a victim. But then they interviewed Frank, bless him, who calmly explained that Tanya parked in a private workspace and got locked in for her trouble. Public opinion flipped fast. Then came the kicker. An anonymous email hit the HOA inbox, complete with DMV records and legal documents. Turns out Tanya's registration had expired, and her license had been suspended for a pending hit-and-run in a nearby town. Yeah, so there she was, demanding access to a car she wasn't even legally allowed to drive. When I got back from Colorado, I called Officer Grant and asked if he'd be there when I cut the welds, not because I was worried, but because I knew Tanya would try something. And she did. The moment I stepped out that morning, coffee in hand, she was waiting, folder full of papers, ranting about kidnapping and psychological sabotage. Officer Grant just looked at her and said, "Ma'am, you parked in his shop. He secured it. He didn't touch your vehicle." Then I lit the grinder. Sparks flew. Welds popped one by one. When the doors finally swung open, there was her SUV, dusty, untouched, with a note taped to the windshield. Next time, call a cab. I didn't write that. Frank did. She lunged forward, ready to drive off, but Grant stopped her. Registration's expired. License is suspended. You can't drive this out. She stood there, stuck between a building she didn't own and a car she wasn't allowed to touch. That was the moment she cracked. Not loud. Not violent. Just collapsed on the curb. Later that week, the HOA held a public meeting. Tanya came, expecting sympathy. Instead, neighbor after neighbor shared stories, the lemonade stand she shut down, the dog bowl she reported, the mailbox she vandalized. Then I played the video, the one of her entering my shop at midnight. The board voted unanimously, stripped her of any self-appointed titles, fined her, and marked her as a chronic nuisance. Weeks passed. Her SUV got towed out under a fake name. She stopped speaking to anyone. Kids steered their bikes away from her lawn. Her little walk patrol group disbanded. Then, one day, a moving truck showed up. No goodbyes. No cupcakes. Just boxes and silence. And just like that, she was gone. I hosted a neighborhood barbecue that weekend. Frank dubbed the shop the Vault. Someone brought a cake shaped like an Escalade. Even the HOA president showed up and said, "This is the first time the whole street smiled in months." And as I looked around at the laughter, the music, the people no longer walking on eggshells, I realized it was never about welding doors shut. It was about drawing a line and saying, "This far, no further." Now, I've got to ask you, if someone took your space, your peace, your pride, would you fight back? Or would you just weld the door shut? Drop your thoughts below. Was I right? Was I petty? What would you have done? And hey, if you liked the story, give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and stick around. I've got more tales from the vault.